I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Open the meeting up to public at this time. Anybody from the public wish to address the board may do so. Anyone who wishes to address the board at this time will have a chance at the end of the meeting. Minutes of previous meetings. Special meeting of August 16th, regular meeting of August 16th, special meeting of August 31st, and special meeting of August 3rd. And you all got copies. Is there any addition or deletions? So we're minutes out tonight. Need it in- If not, entertain a motion.
You got it. I'll second it.
Motion by trustee Huckrow, seconded by trustee Jefferson. Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Bills. Is there any additions or deletions?
I'll make a motion to pay bills.
Moved by trustee Jefferson,
Second.
seconded by trustee Penfield. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Correspondence.
We have two letters. First letter is from James King from the Office of Emergency Services. It's Dear Mayor Rivers, members of your volunteer fire department have asked to participate in the Clinton County Hazardous Materials Team. This will not entail any additional insurance on your part, as they are covered by VFDL, which automatically covers the members if the fire district commissioners approve of it. If you are in agreement with your members serving as part of the Clinton County Hazardous Materials Team, please send a letter to this office giving your approval.
I will move that the members serving as part of the Clinton County Hazardous Materials Team from Rouses Point are allowed to participate. Close enough?
Yep.
I'll second that.
Seconded by, motion made by trustee Huckrow, seconded by trustee Jefferson. Is there any discussion?
I'd just like to know what this is about. I'm not quite sure what it means, and I think I would like to know.
The county has formed a county hazmat team, which basically is made up of the firefighters from the city of Plattsburgh. Are all certified technicians. And then the rest of the volunteers on the outside are to assist them. Let's say you had a,
They travel throughout the county.
yeah,
Okay.
they travel throughout the county, but there is a decon trailer that's going to be stored in Champlain, and one going to be stored in the middle and one down at the other end. Just let's say you had an incident here, let's say in the North Wave, right up here, and they activate the hazmat team to go in, stop the leaks, whatever, and they have to use level A suits to do the job. They have to be washed down afterwards and decontaminated, and that's what our people will be doing. In order to be covered by insurance, commissioners have to approve it, but it's an authorized fire department function.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I just was curious what it is.
I made the motion to get it on the floor for exactly that purpose, because this is the first I've heard about it tonight, and I want to ask Brian, what do you know about it, and are you interested?
We do have a few members that want to respond, to help with the hazmat team, this would cover them under their insurance rather than our insurance.
Right.
I mean, if they want to go help, we're in the mutual aid system.
You're okay
We'll
with
help
it?
anyone who asks for our help. I'm okay with it, as long as they have the training.
Yeah.
They're fine.
Could it be derailment on the railroad?
Yep.
Any type of gas or anything?
Anything.
Yeah.
Anything like that.
Anything that requires a hazmat response.
Yeah.
Does this team from Plattsburgh always respond with the assistance of the local firefighters?
That's why the team is in Plattsburgh. In fact, they just got a grant for a new truck, hazmat truck with all the bells and whistles, the county. Any other discussion? We need a roll call vote now, I don't think so. All those in favor, vote by using sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Second letter we have is from Michael Zerlo, County Administrator from the Clinton County Legislative Office. Dear Mayor Rivers, I would like to invite you to a meeting with representatives of the Adirondack Park Agency Board and its staff on Thursday, September 16, 2004 at 6:30 p.m. at the Harrietstown Town Hall, 30 Main Street, Saranac Lake. The meeting, initiated and sponsored by the Adirondack Park Agency, will provide an important opportunity for our local officials and agency representatives to discuss matters of mutual interest, including those related to economic and community development. It will further allow agency members and staff to learn firsthand about the most pressing issues affecting our county. Local officials from both Franklin and Clinton counties are invited to attend the meeting. Adirondack Park Agency members have emphasized the importance of outreach to local governments at meetings of the agency's economic affairs and local government services committees. This meeting is part of ongoing effort to strengthen ties in the working relationship between the agency and local governments in this park. Please attend this meeting if you can. If you're unable to attend, please feel free to send an alternate. With best regards, Mike Zerlo.
I can't attend that meeting. I will be out of town on the 16th and the 28th. I called Mike Zerlo. He said, really, I sent it to you as a courtesy. You really don't have to go because the Adirondack Park Agency doesn't affect us at all. And no ties with it whatsoever. I said, I'd like to keep it that way. He says, you're absolutely right.
Yep.
So, if anybody wants to go, just give John a call.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Phil. Report of mayor and the board of trustees. The first thing on the agenda tonight is our IEEP annual meeting on Wednesday, October 6th in Syracuse. And I believe Phil and I would like to go to that.
Move back there and the administrator be authorized to attend the IEEP meeting in Syracuse on October 6th.
That will be it overnight. We'll be coming back on the 7th.
I'll second that.
But I can't.
Any other discussion? Any discussion, rather? There being no discussion, all those in favor, vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Second thing on my agenda, I would like to make the following announcement. Our website is up and running. I'm very, very pleased with it. I hope the board is. What I've seen of it is a real professional job. I think everybody will please. And it's at www.Rouses Point, New York. That's one word, .com. If you have a computer, take a look at it. I think you'll be pleased.
And the New York is abbreviated, is that correct?
Yeah, NY. It's RossesPointNY.com. And the last thing that's on my agenda that's not on the agenda, I'm requesting an executive session for litigation.
Second.
Motion seconded. Roll call vote. Trustee Huckrow.
Aye.
Trustee Penfield.
Aye.
Trustee Jefferson.
Aye.
Trustee Moore.
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye. And that's it for me. Trustee Huckrow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First item is ratification of the CSCA contract. All of us have had a chance to look at the changes in the contract, and the CSCA members voted last week on the contract. And again, I want to thank Phil and Brian for picking up things the last couple of meetings, and I wasn't able to be there. And I'd like to make a motion that we ratify the contract between the village and the CSCA employees.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Trustee Huckrow, seconded by Trustee Jefferson. Is there any discussion? This will be a roll call vote. Trustee Huckrow.
Aye.
Trustee Penfield.
Aye.
Trustee Jefferson.
Aye.
Trustee Moore.
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye.
Thank you. The second item is a resolution concerning the Main Street Program grant, and I'm going to ask the administrator to please read it.
The resolution says, whereas downtown beautification and revitalization have been priorities of the Village of Rouses Point for many years, and whereas the Village of Rouses Point has invested in underground utilities, ornamental street lighting, and renovations to the village office facade designed to improve the appearance of the downtown, and whereas the Village of Rouses Point plans to create a waterfront park and scenic pier which will draw visitors and residents to the downtown and thereby help to stimulate the downtown's economy, and whereas the Village of Rouses Point has received grants from the Department of State to hire a consultant to assist in the development of a community vision for the downtown and the adjacent waterfront, followed by a detailed downtown revitalization plan complete with streetscape projects and design guidelines. And whereas the downtown revitalization plan and design guidelines will be in place next year, ready for implementation with a Main Street Program grant award. And whereas the Village of Rouses Point has made a major staff commitment to downtown revitalization by sending 2 representatives for 8 days of training in the National Heritage's Trust Main Street approach and other quality communities, concepts, and techniques, and by hiring a director of community development to facilitate the process of downtown revitalization. And whereas there is tremendous public support and enthusiasm for downtown revitalization and the Main Street Program grant in the Village of Rouses Point, as evidenced by the letters of interest from property owners and surveys from downtown residents. And whereas the Main Street Program grant will provide much-needed leveraging to improve the appearance of the village's downtown properties and its streetscape, and thereby begin to reverse the loss of businesses from the downtown. And whereas the Village Board supports the Main Street Program grant goals of improving the quality of housing in the downtown and thereby encouraging a vibrant living, shopping, working, and recreation district. And whereas Friends of the North Country has over 20 years of successful experience in housing rehabilitation and downtown revitalization. Therefore, be it resolved, number 1, the Village Board of Rouses Point hereby joins with the Friends of the North Country in submitting an application for the Main Street Grant Program and authorizes the Director of Community Development to assist Friends of the North Country in preparation of the Main Street Program grant application and in implementation of the grant. Number 2, the Village Board of Trustees also hereby commits $75,000 of its Independent Energy Efficient Program funds for a portion of the local matching share of the grant through the purchase of energy efficient replacement windows and doors where appropriate for program and grant goals.
I'd like to move that to the floor. And could I make a comment? The $75,000 has absolutely nothing to do with village tax money or taxpayer money. This $75,000 will come out of the IEEP funds, which we are obliged to spend for projects that are approved by the IEEP.
I need a second.
Oh, sorry about that.
I'll
Second.
Seconded, motion by trustee Penfield, seconded by, motion by trustee Huckrow, seconded by trustee Penfield. Any discussion?
Up to 75,000, maybe less than that, right? The most.
That's the amount, well, 75 is the amount that we're putting in the budget. We call it Main Street Grant portion of it. And if we are authorized actually to spend a slightly larger amount should we need it. But we're not 100% sure at this point as to the number of participants we're going to have from downtown. So that is the figure that we're using for now. Nevertheless, it'll all be, anything that we spent will be money from the IEP account. And will also be able to be used as, even though it isn't our money from general revenue, it will be able to use as part of our contribution, which is kind of nice.
Any other discussion?
So can I just ask John about that last statement? When you say part of our contribution, we're talking a matching? share?
Whatever our matching is, yes.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
Right.
So it's
And
really serving 2 purposes.
we're fortunate, we can use it for that. And we had a meeting last last week with Bill Berry from IEP, and he's 100% behind. Matter of fact, he thinks this is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
He's really happy about this project. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, trustee Huckrow.
Aye.
Trustee Penfield.
Aye.
Trustee Jefferson.
Aye.
Trustee Moore.
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye.
And I would like to make a motion authorizing the clerk to publish a legal notice for the new request for proposals for our downtown waterfront revitalization plan.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Huckrow, seconded by trustee Penfield. Any discussion?
The reason for the new RFP is, Melissa, I'm going to, because you know more details, would you?
Absolutely.
This is part of your 5 minutes.
Okay,
Okay.
well, I'm on the clock. This is to try to bring in a new consulting firm to help us put together the waterfront and downtown public vision, followed by the revitalization plan, design standards and guidelines, the whole package. We went out with a smaller one. We weren't successful in attracting one of the firms that we were interested in, and so this was the Department of State's recommendation. Pull together the items from our grants that we've already been awarded, put out a bigger package, and hopefully bring in one of the firms with the kind of expertise we want to do this really important job.
Thank you.
How much did I use, Mitch? Around
You
this?
did a good job. 4 minutes and 12 seconds left.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Do we need a roll call on that? No. All those in favor, vote by use of sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, trustee Huckrow. Trustee Penfield.
I believe you all have a copy of a proposal that was brought to Phil's attention by Tommy Reed, having to do with a preventive maintenance service for our generators. It includes 6 generators that the village owns, 3 at the pump station, both north-south of Maple Street, 1 at the sewer plant, 1 at the fire station, and 1 at the public works garage. Apparently, the people who have looked at this particular package and this particular company would be much happier going this way with a new annual preventive maintenance schedule. The quotation is a total of, I guess, $4,158 for 2 annual visits, which will renew on an annual basis. And it seems like most everyone would be very satisfied if we were to terminate our current policy and to go ahead and enter into an agreement with this particular group. And I believe that Phil has spoken with both Tommy and also with Brian, is that correct, about this? And the preference is to go with this new group. So I guess for discussion, I would make a motion that we authorize Phil to terminate our current policy and authorize the entering into an agreement with Atlantic Detroit Diesel Allison for the new preventative maintenance quotation agreement for our 6 generators.
Second motion.
Motion made by trustee Penfield, seconded by trustee Moore. Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, all,
I actually have a question for Phil. How soon, Phil, would we expect this to be accomplished?
I sent a letter out certified tomorrow to Kingsley, and then we issue the purchase order for the new service agreement 30 days from the date we mail the termination, which we have a 30-day cancellation clause. So I would say 30 days after tomorrow.
And do you happen to know whether or not, I know maybe Brian, you would know, whether or not Tommy has talked to these people about a scheduled visit?
He has.
Okay.
The new company,
Yes.
once it's official that we have them.
So that would take place relatively soon after
I
that?
would say sometime early mid-October,
Okay. Thank you.
And this can be terminated anytime to us already.
within 30 days notice.
Yeah.
Are the generators still set up so they start like once a week or something? Like they usually do?
Yep. Any other discussion? All those in favor, vote by use of sign of aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carried.
Did anyone have an opportunity to look at that request form that Bob Craig had passed along to me, that he was interested in using in the front office? I didn't know whether anyone had any comments or... The one that I passed out at the last meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't understand the purpose of it.
I think the purpose of it is so that there can be better communication, or I guess, he would be able to communicate more quickly in response to a question from someone if he could just go in during the time that he's on shift or in the village office. You know, it might be a time when no one's there, and I think he feels that it would help open the lines of communication a little bit more efficiently if he could go in, pick one of these up, answer a quick question, and pop it back in someone's box. So, it wouldn't be something you would have to use. I mean, I'm sure you could still speak with him if you had a question. But it was something that he did bring to my attention that apparently and I agree with him, I think it would be useful if need be. Obviously, in the case of an emergency, maybe you would get in touch with someone, but. I mean, I don't see any problem with leaving them in the office and making them available should people want to use them. If no one ever fills one out, well, then I guess no harm, no foul, but.
Right, my only concern would be, we start piling up paper, but again, most of us can see Bobby often enough, we don't even have to worry about it.
I think it's just in the interest of better communication.
Yep.
Which I think is always a very good thing. So,
From the office, yeah, good idea.
okay, so I'll ask him to leave some in the front office and they can be used whenever. Okay. And I think that we're still on schedule. We've ironed out some problems in terms of the sewer improvement project. And Aaron's here this evening. Do you have an update for us, Aaron?
Yes, I do. I believe a number of the village board members attended the pre-bid that we had on Wednesday, and we had a pretty big turnout, approximately 25 contractors. Prior to that meeting, we issued our first addendum to the bid documents, which was just generally minor items. Our second addendum, now that the issues on Route 2 have been addressed, we'll go out tomorrow and get that into contract language for the contractors. And so at this point, the award is, bid date is still the 9th or the 14th, and we would hope between the 14th and your board meeting on the 20th to review all the proposals by the contractors and then make a recommendation at that time on the 20th. And if the board agrees, then you can award on the 20th. We hope to start construction in early October, preferably the first week. So, as far as other items, Bill and I met with a representative of the EFC, which is the state funding agency. We were trained in the intricacies of minority and women's business paperwork. Things should move smoothly now. And last but not least, September 16th and 17th, Tom Reed and I are scheduled to go out to Ohio, to the Gorman Rupp factory, and be trained in the maintenance and operation of some of their newer pumps and equipment that's available. And I believe we should have a schedule for Tom sometime next week, early next week, as far as an itinerary. I'll give Tom a heads up on that.
I just wanted to ask, how come so many contractors were at the pre-bid? I just, George mentioned that. It seemed kind of unusual that. They're hungry for business, or?
There's a hunger for business, and the fact that we have 5 different contracts.
Oh, okay.
So you have everything from pipeline contractors to electrical contractors to environmental contractors who would be doing the trunk sewer cleaning and sealing. So we had a pretty good mix, and certain contractors had more than one representative. But on a job this size, it's fairly typical to get that mix.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. And that's it for me.
Thank you, trustee Penfield. Trustee Jefferson.
I don't have anything on the agenda tonight, but I just wanted to comment about the contract. It seemed, I'm glad, first of all, that we did pass the contract. Towards the end there, it was kind of nip and tuck, and we spent a lot of time. And the big thing with the employees of the village is they really want to see a cap on their health insurance raises. And like I told different people that I talked to, we don't have a cap here at the village of Rouses Point, and And I can only see health insurance going up again this year, 20 or 25%. So I think that was part of the problem, that they just, wanted to try to cap it, and we just can't do that. So that was one of the holdups. And so we got over that, and they passed it. I think it was 13-10. So that's all I have to report tonight.
Thank you, trustee Jefferson. Trustee Moore.
Yes, I got one thing. The village water plant has a generator, a Caterpillar T334 with 1,700 clock hours, 405 kW. It's a 3-phase, 1,800 RPMs. And it's on a skid. It's got a date tape. I'd like a motion to surplus that out.
Second. Motion made by trustee Moore, seconded by trustee Huckrow. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor, vote by your side of aye.
There was a
One
question.
second.
Oh, I'm
Is that
sorry.
a 73 Brian? You're
74.
74. Down set. I just wanted to.
Not many hours on it.
1,752.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor, vote by your sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
I'm done.
Thank you, trustee Moore. Phil?
I have one item. We received a notice that the Plattsburgh North Country Chamber of Commerce is going to be sponsoring a employment law seminar, which is going to be discussing the new Fair Labor Standard Act regulations with regard to overtime payments. And I would like approval from the board for Mr. Letourneau, our treasurer, and myself to attend that. It would be this coming Thursday morning from 8 to 10 o'clock. That's September 9th. It would be a cost of $35 for each of us for a total of $70, and I'd ask the board to consider that.
I'll put that in the form of motion.
I'll second it.
Moved by trustee Huckrow, seconded by trustee Jefferson. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor, vote by your sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Phil. Arsen?
If you haven't seen or heard it yet, Clinton County has eliminated their 3% sales tax on residential energy purchases effective September 1st. And therefore, because our September 1st utility bills are for the previous month's usage for August's purchases, the elimination of the sales tax will not take effect until our October 1st bills. So effective October 1st, the 3% sales tax will be eliminated from your electric bills for residential customers only. So the total months coming up, this is going to help out a lot. I'm going to have to report.
Thank you. Is that it?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes, I guess we're gonna publish tomorrow that we're gonna have a power outage September 18th to tie in our new substation. I need to make one more phone call to New York State Gas and Electric just to make sure they're online with us. I've been in contact with the Power Authority, with Wyeth, pretty much everybody else, and before we publish it in the paper tomorrow, it's gonna be September 18th from 6 in the morning till noon. And with a rain date on the 19th.
The whole village will be out.
The whole village will be out. This is to tie in the new substation into the old one. And there should be a single outage for this year, and hopefully that's it. If we can get all the work done that day, we'll leave the lights on until spring.
Is that it?
I have one other thing. We had a meeting with Bill Berry on the IEP monies and the different projects that are going on, and we're looking at a thermal imaging camera. Now, we had 2 representatives, one last week and one tonight, come in. And I think that if we're looking at the thermal imaging camera, there's 2 different cameras. The one that we're looking at through the IEP is for like energy audits, hot spots, like loose connections in our substation, faulty transformers, anything that could go wrong, it could detect it earlier, so we can a problem before something really major goes on. But I know that the fire department wants to get involved with thermal imaging, and out of the 2 cameras, the one we seen last week was good for the electric department, the one we seen tonight was good for the fire department. You really, I don't think you can justify in having one camera do both jobs. I think we're gonna have to look into it a little farther, or decide how you wanna go about, if you wanna commit to the IEP funding for the cameras.
So neither of the cameras you looked at can do both jobs.
Right.
It can
Well-
do both, but not what you're looking for both.
Right. One has more options and does a little bit more than with the other one. You know, it depends where you're using them, how you're using them.
But say the one for firefighting,
Right.
it'll show the images, but the one they want for electrical that one won't show more of the electrical stuff.
But can the firefighting one do the electrical stuff too?
See, if you see.
So one camera can't do both?
To an extent.
Okay.
See, the camera that the electric department wants to get is, if you can see, this is showing all the hot spots in like a substation where potential loose connections, or that's where your greatest amount of heat is.
Right, okay.
And if, like I was saying, energy audits, we can go to somebody's house, like in the wintertime, and then take a 4-sided shot of their house and tell them exactly where their heat loss is. And that's how the IEP would get involved in paying for this, because it's gonna save ratepayers money if we can go to them and say, you know, you need a little more insulation in this wall. I mean, look, you know, we're showing you this is where your heat loss is.
Right, okay.
But, that's not necessarily true wintertime.
Well, yeah, you can do it anytime.
Anytime,
Anytime
during the
of
year,
year.
as long as there's a temperature differential.
Okay.
Right, but it worked the best in the winter because of the, you know, the cold and the heat. But for the fire department, the camera we looked at tonight is more for a firefighter. It's to go in a building, it fits just about over your face, it doesn't take a picture, you know, it's made for
What's that
firefighter. You can drop it in 4 feet of water, doesn't hurt it. I mean, I think it'd be almost worth in having the fire department look into a grant for their own camera. That way they could be responsible for their own camera.
That,
Or could you get the IEP to buy both of them?
I doubt it. I doubt it. But FEMA grants are out right now. New
Yeah.
FEMA grants.
But that's not for equipment.
Yes, it is. You can buy that. Right, they just funded somebody down in New York State, $153,000 for a truck. Certainly, I think they'll let you get that camera.
Because we went online today, and the only thing that they said was for public safety.
That's public safety. You're looking for bodies, you're looking for people in a building, you're looking for a hotspot. I'm sure you can get it because they have gotten them.
Aaron LeFave likes to write those grants too.
Takes about all of 5 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah, you go right online.
All online.
It's a page, it's a form you fill out, and send it away.
If you're gonna fill it up, throw it in there.
Yeah.
Throw it in the mix.
I know there's 2 different systems that we looked at, and I just wanted to let you know the difference between them, because I know there's a lot of talking about, you know.
IEP will not buy a camera from fire department, that I can guarantee you.
You know that, but the one we looked at last week, I know what it's for, I was there. I suggest get other companies, see what prices are other places also, not just that one camera.
What are you talking for prices just for, and I know the one is 25,000.
Yeah, that's the one from IEP, but you gotta understand what that'll do.
Like there's just, that has a database, it does everything for the electric department. And I'm trying to stress that this piece of equipment's not made to go, you know, you can bring it into a burning building after to overhaul to find like a hot spot or whatever, but it's not made to be cemented, you know, dropped in water. Like this camera we looked at tonight is a rugged camera, so that's what it's made for. I mean, it's not going to give you a clear pic like what you see on the picture here. I mean, everything that you see that's highlighted is a really hot spot, from loose connection, faulty equipment. I mean, for what you would spend in this, you would save in equipment and man hours.
And that one there would also be used for energy audits. If somebody in the village wanted somebody that was trained on to bring it to their house, say, okay, where am I losing heat, would also be used for that, correct?
Right, it would be good for,
The next one.
Yeah.
public
Yeah.
relations. But it's just something that I think we should, if Bill Berry is looking, for us to put some money back into our system, for $25,000, I mean, it's,
So that camera that you looked at last week is the one that you want for the electrical department?
yes. And the one I looked at tonight is the one I want for the fire department.
The one that we looked at last week can generate computer reports. One of the nicest things I saw was you take a digital camera, you take a picture of the house, feed that into your computer, get the picture of that, let's say that wall, then this thermal imaging camera feeds a picture right next to it, exactly where the heat leaking, and you can compare the two. And then it generates a report, tells you, the difference in temperature, everything.
It comes with a whole database that all the software systems do, does the whole form for you exactly, like say if we did your house in January and you did some remodeling, then we went back in February, and all that is stored in this database where we can compare the two and,
During the winter too, I mean, you're saving, you're drawing on the supplemental power too, so that's
Oh,
gonna save.
definitely. I mean, I was looking at it for more or less like in the substation for like loose connections, because you can't go around and check every bolt. There's just too many bolts in there.
Yep.
I mean, you couldn't shut the power off that long. I mean, if you can go through and just scan everything and say, hey, we know over in this area we have some hot spots. Our next outage, this is where we're gonna go check. We'll tighten all those bolts up. Or faulty equipment. Go around through downtown, you look at the transformers, you find one that's a little bit hotter than the others, there's a problem with it.
Motors
Probably ready to
also.
be. Yeah, for like motors for like the sewer plant or the water plant. I mean, you can tell if the bearings are starting to go in the morning because it tells you the exact temperature of them bearings. There with the database, you can have a before and after shot. So it's all in the record keeping, it's quite a system.
And you got to find somebody to keep the
I
record.
was just gonna say that. I took the words right out of my
Got to find
mouth.
somebody to keep the record now.
You have enough time to do that, Brian?
Yeah, he does.
Not right now, I don't.
Does it do employee burnout?
Here's another hat.
It's done right in the office. And move that right in.
Go street by
We
street.
have a lot to contend with in the office over the next few months, Mr. Mayor, so I think that, let's not put any more on your plate at this point. I think it's great that it can do it someday.
Someday, we need to do it now. You got a senior housing up there at Preston Penfield that's got apartments in it that people are using rugs to keep the heat out.
Oh, I'm not suggesting not using the camera.
Yeah.
Last winter, they were in there with rugs up against the walls. Something wrong. Brand new building.
I mean, that, then you can prove to the contractor that, I mean, Mickey can go and look at all these houses and he can't be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You don't know what these contractors are doing. I mean, not saying that we don't have any dishonest contractors, but.
No, come on.
Everybody likes to cut corners, but, I mean, for, like George said, even if there's like a couple of apartments that are cold, we can go there and say, this is where your heat loss is. Is it because maybe you don't have any insulation in the wall, or they went a little too thin, or?
No, I think that part of it's fine. I'm simply,
I would like to get different prices. Another price at least to see
You
what.
won't find one any better than that.
Have you checked?
Yeah, Lear's a pretty good company.
That is the Cadillac right there, that Flair.
They had a Flair
They're the
unit.
ones that have developed the technology of thermal
so just
imaging.
let me understand though what happened with Bill Berry. Bill Berry has already agreed to purchase the electrical, the one for the electric department. He's agreed to purchase that one through IEP.
They have purchased them for putting near every municipal electric system.
Well, that's fine, I'm
12%.
just asking.
I think it was 12% of the IEP money goes to thermal imaging camera. I think that's what that sheet said, right? The IEP
It
sheet
showed
was.
a percentage. and I
Yeah,
don't
it was
know.
a percentage on there, and that's one of the, other municipals are buying them.
City of Blackford just bought one.
Oh, there it is. It's a nice system, but I wouldn't recommend it for both, for the fire department and the.
Not after seeing the one you just brought tonight, no.
Right, because that's a more rugged, you know, it's made for firefighting and,
Is that one that you want to check prices on as well?
The
or-
one,
Can
well,
I,
he's making up the price tonight for
Oh,
that one.
okay.
But that one here that IEP money wants to buy, I'd like to have another, at least
Might
one
want
more.
to check state contract.
can I make a suggestion? Is when we ask IEEP to purchase a commodity, a particular commodity for us, they will, if authorized by the board for that purpose, they will solicit, we tell them basically what we're looking for, and they will solicit
They solicit bids.
quotes, and then it would be up to us to approve or disapprove a particular one. If
So
we-
they send the quotes to us?
They would elicit or solicit quotes, and then they would give it, just like they did on the generator for the water plant, they would give us the information, and then we would ultimately approve it. So that is a way of getting a price check.
Just saves us all the work.
They basically do it.
Probably they get another municipality that would buy one or something, so.
They
you know.
bought several of them, so I'm sure they have vendors that they would go to for this, once we told them specifically what we were looking for, the specs on it.
And they can get the specific information on those other cameras that they give
Yes.
quotes for so that everyone could have a look at them?
Yeah,
Okay.
so if that's what you want to do, I mean, that's a way of getting a different, confirming prices and so forth.
If they're going to do that, then I think that's what we should do. I'll make a motion that we authorize Bill to contact the IEEP program and have them get us a number of quotes on the same type of camera that the electrical department is interested in.
Second that motion.
Motion made by trustee Penfield, seconded by trustee Moore. Is there any discussion?
So the understanding is that comes back to us and then we decide,
Which one we want
okay.
to spend our money on. And sometimes it may not be the lowest price, depending
Right.
if everybody's, bidding apples and apples. In other words, they may not have, certain companies may not have all the features that they're looking for, and that's something you can sit down and look at and decide what is the best value.
Right, well, you want one with the features that you want.
Exactly.
Right.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, vote by your sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Is that it?
that's it.
Eric?
I've got a real short update with the sewer project. The Shazy Hardware easement survey work is complete in the lawyer's office. Survey addition, easement addition we needed at Moe's Restaurant. Conversation has been carried on with Moe and his wife, or I believe that's her last name. I'm not sure. I know Doug has met with them, and Junior has. The survey is in progress with that. We expect the completion of that this week. The OGS easement down on the Bridge Causeway and the river bottom survey is supposed to be complete this week. One thing we need to get for Aaron to complete his addendum, we're hoping to dig up a valve that wasn't noticed until last week in front of Consolidated Apparel. It looks like the water line going back to Consolidated Apparel may conflict with the new outfall line, so we need to dig that up and determine exactly where it is so Aaron can make the appropriate adjustments in the engineering and send the addendum out. Dale spoke with Nelson today. He believes that Nelson believes he'll be able to break free tomorrow, so he'll be able to call him up first thing in the morning to make sure. Dale came up today and tried to collect this onto water. Tried to collect some lead paint samples from the old 500,000 gallon tank. He was able to get the ones down low, but when he went up top, as soon as he got samples, they went across the lake. So with the wind blowing, he wasn't able to capture any. So when he comes up tomorrow, he's hoping to be able to get some more samples up high. We're looking to collect like 6 to 7 samples through the whole tank structure. They're about $12 a piece to send away and be analyzed for lead content. That will be valuable for whether we get find someone to take the tank off our hands or the village has to demo it we need to know that information, so we'll get the appropriate demo bids or someone tearing it down to rebuild it elsewhere. I've got a quote to take the old tank out of service. We need to isolate the line, the 12-inch line that goes up Academy Street. For years, there's been a problem up there with no valves through a section from essentially Maple Street all the way up to the tank. So we had a meeting 2 weeks ago. Brian and Nelson came up with a real good idea of getting an Insta-valve, hydro-stop valve installed in Academy Street. I've got one quote from 7 Trent for $7,800. I know Brian had a contact. He was going to be calling to see where he could find. I'll make a copy of this quote and put it in Phil's and Brian's box. That's all I had, unless anybody has some questions.
Eric, thank you.
Thank you.
Were you aware that we had a water leak on Maple Street today?
Dale told me a little bit about it, and Brian updated it, and Brian had a real good idea, and I agreed with it. What we've done before is he'll be pulling together all the hours and equipment that was involved with it, and we'll make sure we cost it and then get that to the design engineer. I don't believe we're outside of our 1-year contract with that warranty period, so we want to get that back to them and make them aware of it, and we'll see that that comes out of the retainage funds for that project.
Thank you. Mike?
Nothing to report.
Thank you.
Very quiet.
The floor, Melissa.
Oh, thank you. I'd like to start off actually by thanking the residents and the property owners in the downtown. Our Main Street program grant is, I would say we're about 75% complete. It needs to go in the mail sometime around the 17th of September. So we're just putting the final data together, getting the narrative done, and labeling the photos with the addresses and so on. It has been an incredibly positive process to go knocking on the doors and talking to the property owners. There really is tremendous support among the people of the downtown for the grant and for the board's downtown and waterfront revitalization efforts. So it's really been a very pleasant, very positive thing to go through. Does anyone have any questions on the grant? I think we went through with the resolution. Anything I can answer for you? Super. Okay, thank you. And just a quick update on Delaware and Hudson Railway Station. After Paula Marshman, our Department of State representative, was here the last time, I called her to ask her one more time, and not her, but ask the Department of State one more time about changing the grant that we had for the railway station. Because in our grant award, the money, there was $5,000 for an architectural study of the building. And of course, the Historical Society would like to restore the building to its original architecture as much as possible. The concern at this point is stabilizing the building, particularly cleaning up the pigeon waste that's in there, so that the Historical Society volunteers can get in and do some of the work that they would like to do. Paula said, well, that makes sense to me. Why don't you just write a letter requesting that change, go out, get some quotes, and go ahead and do it. And so I had a conversation with Eric when I got here tonight. I have the names of 2 firms, and with the board's approval, we'll just go ahead and begin that process and solicit quotes for the both removal of the waste and securing the building so that no more pigeons or other little creepy crawlers can get in. Is that agreeable to the board that we go ahead and do that? Super. And then I guess what my the procedure, Phil, I would bring the quotes to the board meeting for approval. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Melissa. Thank you. Open the meeting public at this time. Anybody wishing to address the board may do so. Anybody wishing to address it? We have a motion for adjournment? Or no, for recess, I'm sorry. Got it. Trustee Huckrow.
Second.
Trustee Dempsey. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. About 5 minutes. This shouldn't take long.